Hello, I'm here today to talk to you about North Carolina Mutual Financial Funeral Funding Company. I want to talk a little bit about how to start a claim with us, but also just a minute about why you might want to use us for your funeral funding needs. This could be used for personal information on getting a claim started, how to do that, but it also could be used in the future by new employees so that you can explain to them why we use a funeral funding company and how that benefits your clients. So let's start just with why you might want to use a funeral funding company. So why use North Carolina Mutual Financial? First of all, we improve your cash flow. You provide a service to your clients by allowing the funeral to be paid for right away and thus securing your funds immediately without having to ask them to come up with all of those finances out of pocket or to wait for some future insurance payment. So you're offering yourself security, but also doing a service for the client. As an added benefit, we're going to ensure that all of the proper forms are filed with the insurance company so that your client is able to be paid any excess insurance funds by the insurance company as quickly as possible. This is a valuable service that you're providing to your clients during a difficult time when they don't want to stay on hold with insurance companies or go back and forth with them to discuss what forms are needed. We're going to do all of that footwork for you and for your client, and it reflects well on your funeral home. We will walk you through every step of the process to file a claim and finish a claim. It's very simple to get a claim started, but we're here for you to answer any questions or walk you through those forms. One of the unique things about our company is that we do not do any chargebacks. That means we are never going to come back to you and ask you to refund payments that we've made to you in the event that an insurance company made a mistake when they verified or doesn't pay us in full eventually. We have a legal team on staff that works directly with the insurance company to handle those types of claims, and we are never going to ask you to refund money to us that we've already paid to you. We handle all types of life insurance claims. We handle individual claims. We do work with group claims. Those are claims that are through a job or an employer. We will pay on pending death certificates, so you don't have to wait for a cause of death or a final death certificate. That can save you a lot of time. We also do homicide cases. So there isn't a claim that's too complicated. If you have questions, just reach out to us. We're happy to answer those or help you work through a claim. So how do you start a claim with us? We will mail you or fax you or email you our claim forms, but probably the quickest way that's available 24/7 is to go to our website, ncmutualfinancial.com, and all of our forms are there. So let's take a look at the website. Let's see what's available on there, and then I'll walk you through how to fill out a claim or the claim forms to start a claim. Okay, so here we are at the website. This is ncmutualfinancial.com. And this is what our homepage looks like. The place that we're going to focus on is this apply and forms area, but I want to talk to you about a little bit about the other areas as well. Certainly contact us if you need to reach us. Here's our fax, our phone, and our email, as well as our mailing address. Up here, you'll see Access Funeral Home Portal. This is a place that you as a funeral home can log into our system and check the status of a claim. So you can see if we verified the claim, if we have paid the claim, just so you can keep track of what's going on with your claims. So you would access that here. But again, the area we're going to focus on is Apply Forms. And there's several different areas here. One is insurance forms. So different insurance companies require their own forms to be filled out, and we keep a lot of those on file for your convenience. Sometimes it's easier to have a family fill out those forms while they're there filling out their initial claim forms all at one time rather than having to come back to them at a later time and ask them to fill out paperwork. So we keep those right here. If you can't find one on here or you just aren't sure where to find it, give us a call. We keep a lot of them in an office, and we can email or fax those to you right away. But this is here for your convenience if you ever need that. Down here are a couple of forms that you do not need with every claim. The Affidavit of No Estate and the Same Name Affidavit. These are forms that are sometimes needed in very specific circumstances if there's not a listed beneficiary or if there's a name spelling difference with the insurance company. They're only on here for your convenience, so that if we call you and say they're needed, you can access them right here. We can also, again, fax or email them to you, but just wanted to let you know these are not needed with every claim. You do not need to fill these out to start a claim. Down here is a funding application. If you're new to our company, you can click on that and fill out this form and fax or email it to us, and then that way we can get your information entered into our system and start working on claims for you. Okay. So the main area that we want to look at is right here. This is the two-part approval, which is our limited power of attorney and our assignment form. These are the only forms you need to start most claims. So let's take a look at how those are and how to fill them out. So these are the two forms. Just so you're aware, you can fill these out one of two ways. You can certainly print them off and fill them out by hand as long as your handwriting is legible, not a problem. Or you can just fill them out right here directly on the computer. The benefit to doing it on the computer is that as you start to fill in information, it will auto-populate that information in fields asking for it, for the same information further down in the forms. So it can help save just a little bit of time. So that's one of the benefits. But absolutely, you can print these off and fill these out by hand. So let's go through and talk about how to fill out the forms. The first place is the funeral home name. So this is where you're going to put your funeral home. So let's say it was Funeral Services, Inc. The insured's name, this is going to be the deceased name. So you're going to put the deceased there, and we need the deceased social security number right here. So we need to have that there. We need the deceased date of birth. And then we need the deceased date of death. As far as place of death goes, the most important part is the city and state right here. We need to be sure that we know the city and state so that we can be sure that it was in the United States. And some claim forms are specific to the place of death. So city and state is what we're really looking for. As far as the address goes, if you have a street address, that's great. Sometimes people will just put, for example, Mercy Hospital, or hospice, something like that. But it's really the city and state we're looking for. Then we go to cause of death. Obviously, natural is self-explanatory. Homicide, we do those. Just click that it's a homicide. Suicide. Accident. If it's an accident, if you'll just come down and type a little explanation about the circumstances. It was a car accident. It was a motorcycle accident. It was a drowning. Just so we know what we need to tell the insurance company. If it's a pending or unknown cause of death, check that. That's not going to affect our ability to pay you. But if you will just place a little notation about the circumstances of the death. So, for example, found at home deceased or passed in sleep, family requested autopsy. Anything like that, suspected complications of obesity. Those are all common things that we get. Again, not going to interfere with our ability to pay you, but we do need to have that information so that we know if it's going to take a while. If there's a coroner's case or an autopsy, it's going to take us a little time to get a death certificate. That's fine. We know that we just are prepared in advance, and we can also make sure that it's not a homicide because if it's a homicide, we need a little bit additional information. Insurance type. So if this is a group policy, in other words, if this is through the job or an employer, you want to click group. Otherwise, if it's a personal individual policy, you're just going to click individual. And then we're going to get down to insurance company information. So right here, you're going to put the name of the insurance company. So the Hartford. And then you're going to put the policy number. So if there's a claim number, if there's any other information you have, a reference number, you can put all of that here as well. But we do need a policy number to file, especially individual claims. If this is a group claim, often the policy number is the Social Security number. So you can put group numbers or anything down here as well, but don't be alarmed. Usually the social is the policy number. But what we do need is right here. We need the name of the employer and the contact person for the benefits department. So if they worked for Acme Bank and the contact is Julie at 555-234. 5555, we need that. The reason being is that with group policies, sometimes we will verify with the insurance company, but most times we're going to verify with the employer because the employer is who is keeping the record of who's the beneficiary, when the policy was taken out, what the benefit amount is. If we have to wait for the employer to send that information to the insurance company, they do not always do that in a timely fashion, and it can significantly delay our ability to get verification and pay you. So if you can give us the employer information, then we can generally verify much faster and pay you faster. So again, the more you can give us on those group claims, the quicker we can verify and pay you. And then here's the important part. This is going to be the assignment amount. So I want to talk just a minute about how to decide what that amount is going to be. So the first thing is, the way that we work is ideally the family would cover our fees within the assignment so that it's not coming out of your bottom line or your pocket. The way that would work is, let's say that the funeral cost, what you need to clear, is $5,000. So say that's what the family would pay if they were paying cash. What you want to do is determine what our fees are and put that into the assignment. So that, let's say the funeral was going to be $5,000 and our fees were going to be $125, and I'm just completely pulling that number out of a hat. So what you would want to make your assignment is $5,125. That way, when we take our fees out, you're actually going to receive $5,000 in your bank account. So the family, the assignment is covering it, not you. Now, if you have any questions about how to determine our fees or what our fees are, or sometimes there's little formulas that can help you figure that out faster, just give us a call. We're happy to walk you through that process. But be sure that you're including your fees in your assignment so that it's not coming out of your bottom line. The other thing to note is your funeral bill must equal this amount or more. The funeral bill cannot be less than your assignment. So be sure when you do your funeral bill, you're adding in any cash advances or anything that you're doing there. You can also add a line that says insurance processing fee, and that you can put our fee in there so that when you total it up, it totals at least this amount or more. Now, sometimes people don't know what that insurance policy is going to cover. The family doesn't know. Go ahead and put everything that you need in that assignment. Most insurance companies will accept that, even if they're going to pay less. So let's say it's a $10,000 assignment, but the policy will only cover $5,000. That's fine. Put your $10,000, plus the fees in here. When we verify, we'll call you and let you know that the policy is only going to cover $5,000. That's okay. That way you don't have to worry about finding out exactly what the amount is ahead of time. But be sure that funeral bill equals this amount or more. Then we're going to put information in for the beneficiary. There's room here for 2 beneficiaries. If you have more, that's fine. Just print more forms and each of the different beneficiaries can fill out on different forms. If you just have 1 beneficiary, just fill out 1 and leave the second blank. Okay? So first up here, we're going to put the beneficiary's name. We need the beneficiary's social security number. The reason we need that, and I know some beneficiaries are hesitant to give that to us, is that the insurance company needs that to confirm identity. So we cannot pay if we don't have that. So let the beneficiaries know they do need to provide that. And then here we're going to put date of birth. The reason that's important is for 2 reasons. One, we need to be sure the beneficiary is not a minor. The other reason is sometimes, especially if different people in the family have the same names, juniors, seniors, the beneficiary might be a senior, but the junior might have signed. So the name may match, but the birth date won't. So that helps us confirm we have the correct beneficiary. Then we're going to put the relationship to deceased. Who is the beneficiary to the deceased? Are they the mother or the father of the deceased? Are they the spouse of the deceased? Are they the grandparent? Are they the son or daughter of the deceased? Just click whichever it is. You can click other if it's friend or cousin, something like that. So let's say that Jane Doe is the spouse. And then we need the address and phone number of the beneficiary, and ideally an email. That's really important because sometimes the insurance company will need to reach out to the beneficiary, so we need that phone number. And the address is important because it's going to be where they send any additional funds if there's excess funds. So be sure that they have that in there. So you're going to want to fill out the address, Street, Dallas, Texas, 75248, let's say, and then the phone number. And then if there's an email, you can put email@email.com. So please don't forget to put this information in there. Okay. And then again, if you have a second beneficiary, you'll fill out the same information down here. If not, just leave it blank. Then when you come down, The beneficiaries need to sign here. So if there's just one beneficiary, they sign here. If there's two, obviously there's two spots for that. And be sure and put in the relationship. So if this is the spouse, and then you're going to put the date in. The name of the notary that's going to sign, you're going to print their name here. So put their name here. And then you can see that this is where it starts auto-populating. It's going to fill in from information you filled up here. Again, a little bit of a time saver. But if you're doing it on your own, this is where you would print the names of the Benny or beneficiaries. And then the notary is going to sign and stamp. You can put the stamp anywhere, but a lot of people like to put the stamp up at the top just so it doesn't interfere with any of the writing, but you can put it down here. It's not a problem. The key is to be sure that they have signed and stamped this page. Then when you go down to our assignment form, again, you can see that much of the information is auto-populated based on that first sheet, so a time saver. But if you're doing this by hand, the the deceased name goes up at the top. The insurance company goes here, and if it's a group, don't forget to put the employer name there. The policy numbers, claim numbers, social, if that's part of the policy, goes right here. The funeral home name goes here. The assignment amount goes here. And again, be sure that the assignment amount on both pages matches. And then you can see the relationship of the Benny goes here, and there's a place for two beneficiaries to sign in the middle of the page. There's a date here. I'm not sure why it doesn't auto-populate, but on this one it doesn't. And then you come to the bottom. A funeral home or cemetery director needs to sign here on behalf of the funeral home. And then you're going to write their name right here where it says funeral home agent. So let's say this would be funeral director Sam. So Sam would need to sign here and write his name here. This is the funeral home name. And again, this date was auto-populated. This date was auto-populated. The notary's name is printed here, and the beneficiary or beneficiary's name is printed here. The notary signs here and stamps. And then you print these two sheets out, and once everyone has signed, you fax or email those to us, and that's all we need to start the claim. We are able to start and verify claims just based on this information if these forms are completed in total. So that's all that it takes to start a claim. Now, to pay the claim, we'll need a couple extra things. We'll need a funeral bill and a proof of death. Now, we don't necessarily need the death certificate because we know that won't be available right away. But we need some sort of proof of death, for example, a printed obituary or a burial permit. If you have questions on what qualifies, again, just give us a call. We're happy to talk you through that. But we do not need the certified death certificate with the cause of death in order to pay you. That's the benefit of using us. So just print these forms off, send these two forms off, and we are ready to verify. So let's talk about some special tips that might help you with more irregular claims. What if there's a second assignment on a policy? This often occurs when either a cemetery or another funeral home is also going to use proceeds from the same insurance policy. This will sometimes happen if the death was out of state and there's going to be transport fees, or an out-of-state funeral home is also going to take proceeds from the policy. It's not a problem at all. We just need to know that that's occurring, and we need the amount that the other assignment is going to be so that we can verify that there's enough to cover both assignments with the policy, since we don't know who the who the insurance company is going to pay first. So again, will not affect the ability to pay you. We just need to know the amount that the other funeral home or cemetery is taking. So just write on one of the forms, second assignment for $2,500, whatever that might be. We do homicide cases. If it's a homicide, we do need to ensure that the beneficiary is not the suspect. And we can do this one of two ways. If there is a newspaper article that states that an arrest has been made, just send that along with your forms, and that is sufficient. If it's a pending investigation or no arrest has been made, send us the name and phone number of the detective working on the case, and we can just call them and ensure that the beneficiary is not a suspect, and then we can pay you. If the funeral home is the beneficiary, this is often the case in pre-need policies. What you would do is have the funeral director fill out the form for the funeral home. Next to their name, put funeral home director as the relationship. Use the tax ID number for the funeral home where it asks for social security number. So you're not using the funeral director's social security number, you're using the tax ID number for the funeral home. Leave date of birth blank and use the funeral home's address. We will still need a family member to fill out our claim form with their contact information because sometimes the insurance companies still ask for that even though the funeral home is the beneficiary. And we still need a family member to sign the funeral bill, especially in those pre-need policies. So just be sure to have any family member, it doesn't have to be anyone in particular, but any family member should fill out our claim form and the funeral bill as well. Sign the funeral bill. Pending causes of death. This is where we can really be of service because a pending death certificate may delay insurance paying out for months, but we will still pay you right away. We'll wait for that final death certificate to come in and for payment to be issued, but we will pay you right away, so you don't have to wait those months. If it's pending, we just ask that you note the suspected cause of death, as we talked about earlier. And if it's an autopsy or coroner's case, just note that. That way we know the death certificate's going to be a while in coming and we don't worry about why it's taking so long to get it. And our accounting department just needs to know that there isn't a homicide suspected. So again, you can just put passed in sleep autopsy suspected or suspected drug overdose or something, suspected heart disease, whatever the case may be. So a couple tips just not to forget. Be sure both pages are stamped and signed by the notary. Be sure the funeral director signs the assignment form. Be sure a family member signs the funeral bill. Provide the employer information and contact phone number if it's a group claim so we can reach out to them. Call us if you would like insurance-specific claim forms while the family is still sitting with you. Saves everyone time in the long run and is convenient for you and for them. And then fax or email everything to us and we will get started on those claims right away. You can always reach out to us. This is our phone number, our fax number, the email. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. We can help you fill out the forms or talk about the fees and how to incorporate those in the assignment amounts so that the family is paying those fees and not the funeral home. We can provide you with those insurance-specific claim forms. Just anything that we can do to assist you, we are happy to do. We look forward to working with your funeral home, and we hope to help make it more convenient for both you and your clients. Thank you.